Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the show. You are listening/watching the Wannabe Network, and I am your host, Gabriel Fast. Today, tonight, this morning, whatever time it is where you are at, we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian, Chapter 21, The Pirate. Arrgh! Arrgh!
Hey, can we just talk about the title music? And the little, did you notice the little hint in there with the accordion going?
Oh yeah, that music.
If
If I have any sense, I even thought about that. I was like, ooh, I need to find a good place to put that in the episode. So, it's probably playing right now, or it just got done playing.
Loved it.
So there. It's I actually rewound that part like 5 times, and it was kind of making me think like a Lincoln commercial. Like the tropey, like, it's like, do you ever get behind the wheel of a Ford Ranger? Like, that was the vibe.
I was like, Lincoln commercials are suave.
You know what I mean. Just a truck commercial.
Matthew McConaughey comes out of nowhere.
He's like, what are we doing in space here again? No. It's good to be talking about Mandalorian yet again. Ethan, you weren't here last week. You had plans to be here, but you were a sick man.
I did,
and it's nice to hear
I was very sick.
Yeah, it's nice to hear you're on the mend, doing a little bit better. But I want to do just really quick. I want to kind of get your thoughts about what did you think about last week's episode, Chapter 20, The Foundling.
A very good episode. I heard a lot of people saying, yeah, it needed a lot of action because of the one that we got the week before. And I'm like, hey, stop complaining. Let them tell the story. But, yeah, it was a good bounce back from the week before the Convert, which was, a lot of exposition and yeah, relatively slow pace. So to come into this one was good, to have a little action, to see the group going after the flying raptor or whatever it is. Love the how it's changed the dynamic between Mando and Paz Vizsla. That was really cool. And then at the end of it, where the armorer is telling Bo-Katan, you're this is the way. You're doing it, and you're doing it to the nth degree. And so you can kind of see the trust that the covert is putting into Bo-Katan, and that was rewarding at the end of that. And just, we've kind of speculated as to where's Bo-Katan at? Is she really buying into this or not? It seems like she really is. And we get to see more of that in The Foundling. And so I thought it was all great. And then the backstory with Grogu was really good, I thought, as well. So getting to see a little bit more of how he got away during Order 66 and how he came to be. And, seeing Ahmad Best, as that Jedi was really cool, considering how much crap he's had thrown his way for being Jar Jar for years. So all of it came together very well, and I did thoroughly enjoy the episode. I thought it was good.
Well, good. We all enjoyed it too, except for Mikey. I kind of made Mikey the villain.
I liked it.
of last week's episode. There's a moment in last week's episode. Oh yeah, you need to listen to it, because that's why I asked you if you. It's like Mikey's like it didn't progress the story of Mando, and like cuts into like the episode like audio really quick and makes you look like a giant jerk. So get wrecked, Mikey, for being too critical. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. No, I think it's last week's episode definitely had my interest peaked for this week's episode, which is, as we said before, the pirate. This was a pretty significant episode, I thought. Gentlemen, what were kind of your general thoughts? Ethan, you want to start us off?
It's a pivotal episode, I think, because it's really setting up the next, these final 3 that we're going to be going into. It's not as dramatic, I think, as the tragedy, which I think is the 5th episode from season 2. But it does its job because, well, like I said, because it's really launching us into the home stretch now. 6, 7, and 8 are going to be a roller coaster. and it sets all of it up really well. Well, you know what? Now that I think back on it, it's not the tragedy that's the 5th episode, or is it? Now I can't remember. I think it is. Because I was looking at it earlier, and I was like, how does this compare to previous seasons? And it's right there with what we got in Season 1. I don't think it's as impactful as Season 2. It doesn't have to be. It does its job, and it does it really well.
Yeah, and we'll definitely dig into some of that a little bit more, obviously. Mikey, what were kind of your general thoughts? Did you like this episode a little more than last week's?
I did. I didn't... It's not that I didn't like last week's. There was just some flaws. I don't know. I feel like I have a hard time with like episodic storytelling, especially this style where it's like it almost has a contained story every episode, and then you feel like, oh, I wish they would have did more of this or more of that, and they can't most of the time because they're like Ethan said, they're working up to the last 3 episodes. So I wish there was more. Well, I'll talk about it later, but I feel like I was left wanting a little bit, but I usually am from
this. You're so full of hate.
I'm hard to please. I hate that I'm that way. But I love it.
Mikey was always the picky eater when we were kids, but he was also the guy that would be like, "Hey, I put ranch dressing and barbecue sauce on my hot dog. Let's try it. See if it's any good." So
dude, it was good. Cheapest barbecue in town, I'll tell you that much.
I feel bad for his wife. She's like, "Here, honey, I made you your best, your most favorite dish." Yeah, it's funny, okay, but
it's funny because I'm a really good cook. I think being adventurous like that is what makes you better. So.
I mean, it's true. It's kind of like whenever I make the eggs, and Emma's like, "Wow, these are too salty." But I was adventurous. I just, I just grabbed a little more than usual and was like. Salt meme all over the eggs. You know what I mean?
Salty.
I to go on with your guys' thoughts, I have a lot of notes that we're gonna get into. But I think this has some of the best action in Star Wars. This episode does, and it had me wishing that my predictions of the Mandalorians kind of taking over a little bit, front and center. For however long it's going to be, if it's about, if this next arc is going to be rebuilding Mandalore, I would really like to see that. So we'll get into that a little bit more. We got some repeated context for Gorian Shard. What's your guys' opinion on him, the Pirate King?
It reminds me a lot of a character that showed up in Jedi Starfighter. Nim. I forget what that race is called now, but he just reminds me of that. It's not the same race. Obviously, there's difference. He's covered in seaweed. It's cool. I won't say there's anything especially nefarious or that really hooks me into the character. I love the voice actor, though. The voice acting is superb for that character. And in the end, he served the purpose of being the villain, doing the nefarious things, and then, getting goaded into, overplaying his hand, and obviously, the spoiler alert, that's his demise. So, it fit as far as your villain of the week. He fit the bill very well.
Yeah, I
actually did like the what is it? His right hand man on the bridge, the
Shmi.
Ugnaught or whatever it was.
Yeah,
the boatswain or whatever he did. Yeah,
Shmi.
I never thought of it that way.
It's literally Shmi.
I did like that character because it's that guy that's in that extremely difficult position of being under a boss that's a jerk and trying to keep things together, and it's all going badly. Yeah, exactly. And you felt for the guy. I wish they'd seen him get to a escape pod or something. But oh well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Gorian Shard met his demise in that beautiful Corsair that he was driving. That thing was pretty sweet.
That was so cool.
Wouldn't it have been awesome if the Mandalorians could have stormed the thing and taken it, and that would have now been their ship?
Literally.
That would have. Come on.
Literally,
like
awesome. Your floating sanctuary. Oh man, yeah, no, that'd be pretty rad. Go ahead, Mikey.
He was one of my problems with this episode and the last couple, because I liked his character, and I'm trying to remember that Clone Wars episode where it's they have that stealth ship and they're trying to outsmart like that spider pirate captain guy, and like it's really good storytelling in that episode, and I feel like they underused him. Like they had his lackeys come to the planet and intimidate and do all that and do all like the starship fighting. I'm like, why can't he just be like the main? Just focus on him. Like that's such a cool character design, and honestly, it's probably expensive, like if they do CGI. But I feel like they could have sent him to the city to intimidate the guy, like at the school and the bar and all that. And I don't know. I was kind of peeved when he died, because I was like, that would have been. He could have got away. Give him a escape pod or something and bring him back later. I know that guy that ran away is coming back.
I feel like it kind of harkens back, kind of what Ethan was saying too, of like the villain of the week type vibe, right? Where he's just menacing enough, and it's like also we talk about Wrath of Khan. Those two crews never actually interact like face to face the entire time. So like,
true,
That's a good point.
It builds anticipation. Yeah. It kind of like to me, it kind of harkens back to the old days of, it doesn't have to make sense because the budget says it doesn't have to make sense. You know what I mean? Like this is just what we're doing, and it's like take it or leave it. And I think that's what really endears me to Gorian Shard, because he is like a really cool design, and that ship is really cool. I saw a tweet where it was like, I need that like as a Lego model. And I'm like, man, I have got to get a Lego model in here someday. That would be really cool. But yeah, no, I thought he was cool. But basically, his whole deal was, he's going to invade Navarro and take it over, because to get revenge. I wasn't really actually clear on the whole reasoning for attacking it. There was just speculation that they were going to turn it into a pirate base. Was that pretty much it? Like, Navarro's being attacked. Right?
It's interesting because on the surface of it they don't really explain why he's there, but they do roll this pirate attack up into everything that has transpired previous on Navarro, and what's the New Republic pilot that does all the investigating?
Yeah, Carson.
He's putting all of these pieces together. And he keeps seeing Navarro coming up, and there's reports of Imperial activity there. Now there's reports of pirate activity, and there's enough going on in this one location. And thank goodness somebody recognizes weird things are happening in one place. It's a shame they didn't figure that out on Tatooine years before, but he sees a pattern going on here, and so it leads him to do some more investigating, and he's on to something as the episode is going to bring us.
I thought it did a really good job. It did that thing of like, we knew the conclusion, before the characters did type thing. Like, it was very easy to connect the dots, like, as a few moments unfolded throughout the episode. Like, it was very easy to kind of put everything together, and then it all comes full circle, at the end, of course. But I really like how they foreshadowed that very successfully. Like, hey, Moff Gideon, man, like, he's coming back. It's all connected, man. Speaking of Carson, after we kind of get the distress call, the whole reason that we even get introduced to him is because he picks up Greef Karga's message from Navarro, like, hey, we need help. And then we see a familiar face enter the saloon there.
Heck yeah.
Ethan, who did we see?
Garzeb Aurelios. I think that's how it's pronounced. But Zeb. We know him as Zeb.
But who is that?
From Rebels.
Oh.
From Rebels. He was the old crew member from The Ghost, man.
And he talks like this.
He was Ezra's bunkmate. Yeah, man. Yeah. No, I love that actor.
Steve Blum.
Steve Blum. That's
same guy who did. It's the same guy who did Spike for Cowboy Bebop. So he's a legendary voice actor.
Okay.
Like he's a great voice.
Yeah. And just so distinct. And when he came on screen, I looked at Eli and I'm like, is that? And Eli's like, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. and sure enough, it was. And so so Zeb's there. Zeb is in the New Republic. That's pretty awesome.
That is pretty sweet. It was and I think, to Mikey's points that he's made, in the past few episodes. I mean, we're gonna get a full Rebels reunion for the most part. I think that's why they keep hinting at
Gotta
it.
be.
But you know, it definitely it felt like a very good opening to kind of like grab your attention. I thought this first act was really, really good. I really liked that scene too. Whenever like they hone in on the base and you know, you can just kind of see like the platoon. Like it literally reminds me of like Forrest Gump whenever he's like flying into Vietnam, you know, and that's what it looked like. And I thought that was
I was actually getting strong South Pacific World War II air base vibes.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean,
and even had like there was like an old Imperial. Like I can't remember if it was either one of the shots during the show or if it was the artwork. It might have been in the artwork that they show in the end credits. There's actually like an old Imperial symbol on the wall, kind of off in a corner.
Yeah, I noticed that because I was like, that was the Rebels bar, though.
Yeah. So it's obvious that this is like an old established base, and several armies have used, or Air Forces or Navies or whatever, have used this place. It's well established. I thought that was really good. Little bit of flavor to add to the universe.
Just like totally immerses you like way deeper into the elements of the story that they're trying to keep grounded, like they want to keep grounded. You know what I mean? And like the elements of like fantasy and stuff, they want that to play out. But I mean, it really felt like a legitimate wartime situation. And I thought, you know, in space, and I was like, wow, like this is, you know, you don't really see a lot of stuff like this. Kind of gave me Firefly vibes a little bit too, you know, with the aesthetic and just like the color grading. And I don't know, it made me believe that this could be a possibility, if that makes sense, for a split second. After that, we move on to Coruscant because obviously, you know, Carson, he wants to get help. And we see a new character, Tim Meadows. He's a official of some sort. And he basically tries to put in this request, for help.
This isn't a rebellion anymore. We have a structure now. I work in requisitions, so let's focus on what you require.
Okay. I'm requesting authorization and backup for dealing with pirates on Navarro, sir.
Gets denied. And what was your guys' kind of take on this scene? Like, what do you think the message is that they're trying to like get through to us? What's the whole point?
Let me ask you guys how did y'all feel about Tim Meadows being in, just showing up randomly in this?
I don't like him.
You don't like Tim Meadows?
I don't like.
Oh my god.
See, here's the thing. I love Tim Meadows. I just don't know that he belongs in Star Wars.
I liked it.
So the whole time I'm watching it, it's like they say his name on screen. I don't even remember what his name is because I'm thinking, this is Tim Meadows.
Yeah, literally.
You know, he's done a comedy bit on a stage just like 30 miles from my house here. You know?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It was weird. It was weird.
I honestly, I had tingles too. I was like, my first immediate thought, and I don't know, maybe this is just a jerk thing to think. I'm like, why did we ever pretend that Tim Meadows actually had talent? Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
on.
I'm sorry.
You gotta love him in The Office.
That one part in The Office was like, I have time.
I
want my baby back. No, I don't dislike.
I thought he did a good job.
I don't care either way. He's just there. Like it could have been anybody.
I think that's the vibe they were going for, though. It's just like he's just a guy doing his job. He's not. Yeah. I don't think he's supposed to stand out, except for the fact that he says.
Okay, but see, here's the other thing. If you've watched the Goldbergs,
haven't.
He was playing that same character, the school principal or whatever it is, from the Goldbergs. He was playing that character in this role, is what it felt like to me as well.
I have not seen the Goldbergs.
So just in my opinion, a little bit off. It belonged, but it didn't. You know, I'm not saying it was bad, but at the same time, I'm like, it's Tim Meadows.
Yeah.
I've seen him in a bunch of different other stuff.
Yeah.
However, as far as what it brought to the table, it's great. It's everything that the convert showed us, that the New Republic is hesitant to do anything, right? And that whole scene where, what's her name? The former Imperial.
Oh, yeah.
When she walks into the room.
I don't remember her name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but But anyway, when she shows up and starts basically throwing shade at the fact that they haven't signed the charter.
Yeah.
And then Tim Meadows is like,
you're out.
Yeah, it's a strike against them. And that is it. That's the bureaucratic mentality. If they're not going to scratch our back, why would we put ourselves out to help them? Why would we reciprocate? Because they've got a government to run. And you could see that government in action, and Carson obviously confronted with it. He has his parting shot when he walks out of the room. By the time you see what's going on, it's already going to be too late. And as we know, that's very prophetic, because that's ultimately what's going to happen in the New Republic later on down the road.
Good foreshadowing.
But we're seeing it there, and it made a lot of sense the way that whole interaction went.
Mikey,
what?
Anything to add to that?
I mean, not really.
Yeah,
don't sleep on Tim Meadows.
I kind of had similar feelings to you, Ethan. I have written down, I said higher ups don't care about Navarro ? And then I put dash, government always sucks. And then I put another dash and said they're not going to send help. So yeah, I mean it is the harsh reality of what government, no matter who's the good guys or the bad guys, there are people that just unfortunately don't get the help they need. Is I think a good message that they were trying to kind of perpetuate, because ultimately what they're doing right now is what leads them to their ultimate downfall later on down the line. So, and I like how they're showing us that people within these organizations might have good intentions. They may have good motives. They may want to make legitimate change, or at the very least, like the Mandalorians at this point in time, just kind of keep the peace, or just kind of live in peace, do their thing. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, whether it's the good side or the bad side, people always suffer. Even people always suffer, on both sides. And I thought it did a good job of kind of portraying that. And in a kid's show too, quote unquote, right? Teaching them young about the man. I saw this TikTok, and this guy was like, man, there's this guy, he was like 100 pounds overweight. And he's like, oh, you guys back in the day used to have heavy metal bands and punk rock bands, and you all got comfortable and senile, man. You sold out. And that's kind of how I think Carson is too. Like Carson, he has like his leather jacket on. He's like, no, man, like we're going to do it our way. And that's exactly what he does. He takes matters into his own hands, because that's what rebels do, gentlemen. That's what heroes do.
Well, does he? He doesn't really take matters into his own hands. He just goes to people that he knows will
take matters into his own hands.
Not even there when they fight.
Took matters into his own hands.
I was like, where is he when they showed up?
I actually had a similar thought. He was like, yeah, it's literally he shows up to the covert or whatever, and Mando's like, I helped leave. Like, you better get out of here. You helped me this one time, but like we should all kill you right now. Paz Viz was like, can you believe this guy? Mando's like, I know. He helped me like one time.
Let's kill him.
Yeah, look, a drifter. Yeah, but he literally shows up. He's like, hey, just wanted to let you know your friends are probably going to die. Peace. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty much what happens. Like, you guys, he did, in fact, not take matters into his own hands.
Yeah. Well, he could have done absolutely nothing. So.
Yeah, I mean, he had an X-Wing, and he's supposed to be like a cop or something. So, I mean, you'd think you'd have some piloting ability.
Yeah. He's basically a beat cop that, like, noticed something.
Yeah.
It's not like he can show up and tase them. He's got to call in people who will... He basically went to a gang and was like, hey, I'll turn them away. Go kill those guys.
He pulls his blaster out.
He
pulls his blaster out and
Star
says...
Wars version?
Give me a reason.
I was going to say, is this the Star Wars version of Lieutenant Gordon?
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Before he gets the desk, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I could see
the rebel. Yeah, he's going to go against the grain. But whenever it's his time to call the shots, he's going to be conflicted.
He's not corrupt. He wants to see things done right. And he knows he has to work, read between the lines a little bit.
Yeah, and he knows that
if No.
No, I insist. No, I insist. You go.
Okay. So, yeah, because like what we were saying about the government part of it, if he was to go with them, I mean, he'd be in so much trouble. Like, they would have to take legal action against him, for sure. If like, an X-Wing got hurt, or maybe if he was off duty. But are you ever off duty when you're with the law?
It's treason.
Jealous?
Oh, God. So, I like, though, how Mando, whenever they're talking, like, in the cave, have we ever figured out where this covert is? What planet it's on?
They have not. They have not said what
Tatooine.
planet this is.
It's in a different system, though. It's in a different system than Navarro, though. Correct?
I
mean, they hyper jump to which I would assume you only hyper jump to get to a different system. Correct? I've been playing Elite Dangerous, Ethan. I'm learning. I just try to learn.
Yeah,
So I like whenever they're talking in the cave, though, and Mando's like, hey, should we help this guy? I know he tried to kill me one time, but And then Paz Vizsla is like, they murdered us in the streets of Navarro.
And then totally redeemed themselves.
Let's help them. Why not? Like,
I know. He totally... I like how they did that, honestly.
Yeah,
though.
honestly, I literally put Paz doesn't want to, and I had to scratch it out, and I said, pulls a 180. Because, and I like that, and I think it kind of does show elements of, like, back in chapter 18, was it, when we saw the mythosaur, I was talking on the podcast, I was like, Bo-Katan is seeing this mythosaur maybe in a different light than what she has before, because this is going to be a new dawn for, Mandalore. Like, this is going to be good for the people. Like, this is a sign for sure. And they keep dropping, like, little things here and there, like, Paz just fully being willing to, like, go against pretty much the protocol. And go out of his way to help somebody and go against the rule, quote unquote, a little bit. And even the armorer, is starting to see, like, the significance of everything happening, which is probably why she's so on board with the way things happen. It really does show growth as a character for him, and it shows the growth of the Mandalorian culture as well, and what the heart of that is. And how if that heart, like, stays beating that same way, like, that could be the new foundation in the future for the Mandalorians.
And I think about what it's doing for the Mandalorian people and what we think is going to be coming, which is, the uniting of the clans or the tribes, right? Because they could have very easily kept Paz Vizsla in the same vein that he's always been, as kind of a foil.
Right.
He could have gotten up and said, yeah, they murdered us in the streets, and you're asking us to sacrifice again, and we should ask ourselves why. Well, let's just take care of ourselves. Yeah. But that's not what happens. And it's really cool because the armorer watches all of this happen. She's been watching all of this take place. And now that in her mind, you can see the wheels turning behind her, the faceplate. Things are changing for the Mandalorians. Yeah. This group in particular has really learned the way, and now with these people and Bo-Katan in particular, now we have a chance of extending this beyond just this group here, and it was really gratifying to see that change that really has unfolded over the last several episodes, but now to see it come, like, the germ, fully growing here to where there's really hope for the Mandalorians, and if not just for this covert, then for all of the tribes. And I'm really excited to see what's coming down the pike for this.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I just think too, like, Disney's actually kind of done themselves here, and still following along with the theme of letting the past die, which was a theme that was pretty well hated, with the sequel trilogy. Well, now we're seeing that same thing being perpetuated, like. This is the way. Okay, well, that way changes. Like, it evolves. It doesn't stay the same. Also, kind of breaking, like, generational pride, with the Vizslas. Like, we think about, pre-Vizsla from the Clone Wars, and, like, the pomp, and just, like, it was his way or the highway. And to see, like, Paz is breaking that generational tradition, I guess. And he is like the poster child for the group as a whole, I feel like. And moving on, because, you know, he was one of the main opposers to Mando towards the beginning of the show, you know, where he challenges him for the Darksaber. Like, he is a leader at heart, and he is willing to, like, overcome what he might have ingrained in him to, like, do what he thinks is right. And I'm excited too. I think it's really powerful. It's really good storytelling. So what did you guys think of, like, the ship breakdown / like the plan, like the whole prep sequence? I love whenever, like, I don't know, like, I love those types of sequences. And, you know, whenever you
love when a plan comes
I
together.
really do love when a plan comes together, you know, and it's like we've seen the devastation that has happened over Navarro, and it's like the combination of them all preparing and Bo-Katan, like, taking charge and saying, like, what the plan is going to be. I really liked all that. And then whenever they, like, drop in, I was like, oh my God, this is what ODSTs wish they were. Like, that was so stinking cool how they just, like, came in and they were all, you know, just, like, efficient. I was like, wow, I much prefer, it was more like Republic Commando style type vibes than, well, go ahead.
I was actually having flashbacks to the scenes from the first season of Mandalorian, where Din Djarin is flashbacking to when all the Mandalorians drop in and save him during that droid attack, right? During the Clone Wars, right? And here we got to see it again. They drop in with their jetpacks, they're coordinated, they're, you know, hand signals, and just, you know, taking the field. I thought it was a great callback.
Yeah, no, same. And it's like, I thought the armor looked really, really good, especially Paz's armor, like with his Gatling gun. It kind of reminded me of, like, you know, kind of in the same vein as like Halo. It reminded me of, like, the Halo Reach armor, that dude that had the big Gatling gun. I was like, oh my God, it looks like the exact same character. And it, I don't know, something about, like, just that presence. I just think the Mandalorians as a whole have such, like, versatility. Like, they can be full-out Vanguard warriors, like, you know, going all out, but they can also be tactical and sneaky and, you know, pivot whenever they have to. I thought this was a really good episode to showcase their skills and their versatility. Like, their bow staff skills, nunchuck skills. So, we kind of get the rest of the episode is kind of the taking back of Navarro. And then the armorer comes in. When the armorer comes in with her hammers again and just, like, starts whopping those guys, I was like, she is a legitimate savage. I quite enjoyed that. When she throws it, that guy's like, yeah, he's going to be eating through a straw probably for the rest of his life. He's not dead, but there's going to be some straw, you know, some liquid meals in his future, I think, at least for a while.
I'm just wondering why the guys out on the balcony didn't turn around when they heard the shots being fired in the room.
The two on both sides of that guy did, but he never did.
Well, yeah.
He was all,
I was going to say, you did.
So I guess it makes sense.
See, like, the type of people that, like, whenever they took Navarro, the type of people they were, like, having drinks and they were all, they're
true.
not very smart.
Yeah, they're all wasted.
Yeah. You know?
The only gripe I had about when she came in was there's no way she's working those clamps good enough to grab that guy. She literally, like, in the scene, she literally, like, puts him on his back and then pulls, and he's all, whoa! It's like, there's no chance that she just grabbed him at all.
Yeah, it's like whenever I have a log out by the fire and I have that, I'm like,
yeah,
like,
basically.
trying your best to, like, keep contact.
It's like nobody can
slip,
grab anything with those.
You know? Like, literally. No.
No, yeah.
The sentiment was nice. Yeah.
It was cool. I was
cool.
Very happy to see her actually do something. That was dope.
Yeah. I appreciated Grief Karga, how he totally has kind of given into his inner good guy as a whole, and it's like he's become the chief magistrate of Navarro. And Carl Weathers is the perfect man, I think, to play chief magistrate or grand magistrate Grief Karga. It's a type of guy that you can, like,
high magistrate.
High magistrate, excuse me.
High
Magistrate. Thank you, Ethan. I know, amateur hour. I'm so sorry. I love, how he's like, hey, Mandalorians, we've been at odds, but our home's your home now. Like, from this area to this area, like, it's all yours. What does that say about, like, the future of where obviously, like, she says the armor, that's whenever we get to the sequence of Bo-Katan taking her helmet off and the armor being like, you're the one to unite us because you've walked both worlds. You've seen a mythosaur, so it must be a sign, right? So I'm left with these questions then of, like, what does this say about the future, for the next few episodes? What do you guys think? Do you think we're seeing potential for some significant time jumps?
No clue. But like you, it brings up questions because if Navarro is going to offer them a home, which is what's happened here, obviously this is a place where others that are interested in joining the Way are going to be able to come and have a place to stay and train and whatever the case is. But the goal apparently is taking back Mandalore, right? Is that what we understand at the end of this? That's the stated. That's the mission, right?
Yeah, I mean,
take back Mandalore.
That's kind of.
So how long are they going to stay at Navarro? I mean,
that's kind of my thing. Like,
I don't know.
Could we see a division in the next episode of people that are like, we like it here. Like, why do we need to try and do something different? Like we have a good thing going here already. We don't have to be out hiding anymore. I don't know. Everyone seems pretty gung ho about doing what she wanted to do, and I mean, I don't know. I feel like if anyone is going to be conflicted, I mean, it genuinely seems like that's where they're pushing us. They're pushing us in that direction of they're going to retake Mandalore.
Yeah. So it just brings up a lot of questions about what is this Navarro?
Yeah, I mean, what's
mean?
The point? Like, what does it have to do with anything?
We'll have to wait. And see.
Yeah, exactly. We do get Mikey. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah. So I don't think there's gonna be a time skip. I feel like the last two episodes are probably gonna be the bangers, because why would they go so heavily into this part where it's like you have to unite? Are her and Mando just gonna go to some like random different hidden bases and meet up with some guys? Like, because she already said her other crew's gone. Like, they're off doing their own thing. So I'm curious to see who they're going to meet up with. Is it going to be one of the clans from Clone Wars? Very well could be, but that's where I think it's going to go in the next episode.
Yeah. Well, you want to get to that final scene so we can kind of go into some more speculation territory on Mandalorians that are out there?
Yeah, so cutting to the scene, I was legitimately scared when we saw the Lambda cruiser just kind of like floating there. There's something about a derelict ship just floating in space. I get Dead Space PTSD, you're never quite sure what's going to be in there. And I was legitimately like on edge whenever he pulls up to that.
Eerie.
Really, really cool. Yeah, very eerie. Yes, Mikey.
Alien vibes.
I thought it was a very, very cool scene. And yeah, I mean, it points to a lot of speculation that we had through the episode, like Moff Gideon indeed did escape, but it looked like a Mandalorian had, used Beskar in some way. There were traces of Beskar inside of the Lambda cruiser. So what could that mean? Well, Ethan, you obviously have a theory. Who do you think's going to show up?
I actually had forgotten about the little detail until Eli brought it up. But we have Imperial Super Commandos out there, which were Mandalorians. I was just looking it up. They were led by Gar Saxon, but they were loyal to the Empire. And so I feel like that's probably what Moff Gideon has got in his hip pocket. It's obvious he loves armored hardware, and what better thing to have in your collection than some Imperial Super Commandos that can come rescue you off of a Lambda shuttle in a obviously violent extraction.
Right.
And so just the fact that a piece of Beskar armor got left behind in the bulkhead, obviously from a firefight or whatever was going on. Yeah, I'm sincerely hoping that it's Imperial Super Commandos, and we're going to have something for the Mandalorians to have to sort out, right? This may be the next, bit of conflict. And here again, we keep revisiting stuff that we've seen in Rebels. And we were speculating early on as Ezra coming back. Well, we've seen Zeb. Now we've got what I think is possibly an indication of Imperial Super Commandos out there. It's exciting to see what the next 3 episodes are going to bring.
Yeah. Is there just 3 episodes left?
Yeah, it's only 8.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's wild. That's crazy to think about. Do you think we'll get any connecting tissue with the Ahsoka show, similar to how we did with Boba Fett? Do you think we might get some Mando sprinkled into Ahsoka?
Absolutely. I think the way we saw Book of Boba Fett mix Mandalorian, and now we're seeing Mandalorian mixing elements of Rebels and Ahsoka, and I think that's just the way Disney is doing this. You said it earlier. It's all connected, right? So there's no reason to have separate episodes and no bleed over, and they've demonstrated that they can do that and tell really good stories, and it adds to the next series that comes along. So yeah, I think there's going to be elements that we see here that are going to bleed over into the Ahsoka series. I would be surprised if it doesn't happen.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you random question, do you guys think it's more likely that we would possibly see a Ezra teaser in this show or a Thrawn teaser? Who do you think they would go with if they did one? I think it would be Thrawn. I think that would be, because especially with Moff Gideon being a collector and where is he getting some of the stuff he's collecting from? That's a connection I could see happening, but I don't know. It's been in the back of my mind.
It just, based on what you're saying, then yeah, Thrawn makes more sense, because other than seeing the Purrgil in hyperspace, that's the only connection we've seen to because we know they took Ezra away.
Yeah.
But honestly, here again, we come back to it. It's wide open. I mean, where are they going to go for the next 3 episodes? They got a lot of ground to cover. So it could be one, the other, both, or none. And it's probably going to be exciting either way.
I think whatever predictions we may have, I think it's inevitable for there to be a second coming of Rebels. Like, I think Rebels live action is basically going to be happening with kind of like
already kind of
literally. I mean, that's exciting. It is exciting. Yeah. It is exciting to think that, and to think that could tie into a pivotal new beginning for what's next. Because see, the thing I'm most excited with Star Wars is I'm digging into the High Republic right now. I'm wanting to explore like different time periods other than what I've grown up with and like I already know a lot about. But there is an element of like what's next, and we're kind of getting that obviously already with the beginnings of like Mandalorian and Andor and stuff like that, but it's all taking place in a time period I'm already familiar with. I want to see what happens after Rey Skywalker, right? And I think that what's happening right now may be laying the groundwork for that. I think it all connects into the bigger picture. I was kind of thinking like if there is a new order of some sort that, has to be, 500, 600 years in the future, it would make sense that Grogu would have been the one to be like, okay, yeah, this was like the new order. Like, this is how it came to be. Like, I was a part of it. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's something like that potentially happening, and that's what excites me. I want to see where like
Can you see Grogu fully grown, 2 foot 6 inches, with a Mandalorian helmet and his ears flopping in the breeze, riding a Kai'Buk with his with his lightsaber over it? I think it would just be awesome.
Yes,
I think.
I mean, especially if he had the dark saber, like,
oh my gosh,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's exciting things on the horizon, and it's like
there's a comic book cover right there.
Oh yeah, totally. Oh, if that ever happens, like I would buy that action figure for real. Like, I love Grogu. Like, I love watching him in scenes because it's like they're showing us how he's learning and how he's progressing, like little tidbits here and there. Whenever Mando is fighting, whenever Din is fighting, Grogu's like looking, and seeing what he's doing. It's evident he already knows how to use the ship to a degree, but like he's learning how to do these things, and that's not, that's definitely for a reason that they're showing us those things, because it needs to make sense. It needs to be cohesive. So I'm just excited for, like, obviously I'm loving what we're getting, but the things I'm most excited for are what's the future, and hopefully we can get some sort of inkling of what that might be in the future. Overall, I thought this episode was great. I really enjoyed it. I only watched it once. I only had time to watch it once, but I'm definitely going to watch it again. I've been going onto Reddit and downloading all of the concept art that I like from each episode. And there's some really cool ones. There's one of Mando being chased by one of the enemy ships, and they're flying through a canyon, and like a ship has just been blown up or been thwarted by Din. It just looks really cool, like this Naboo cruiser. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of, like, I'm getting feelings of whenever you saw like the Legacy comic books. It's like you see a Jedi, like this guy has a lightsaber but he also has a blaster. Like it was familiar but different. And I like whenever we get stuff in Star Wars that is like, oh, here's this thing but it is slightly different, in these aspects. So I'm excited, obviously. My interest is piqued. Ethan, you were right at the beginning of the whole season. We should have had faith from the beginning, our Lord and Savior, Dave Filoni. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I just... we do a lot of speculation, and there's nothing wrong with it. But like you said, when we started this season, we had no idea where it was going. We thought we would be 6-7 episodes in, and then we would get to see Mandalore, and something was going to happen there. We went there in the second episode, and we haven't been back yet.
Right.
It's just they have totally subverted and exceeded all expectations, right? And so I just want to say we're at a time where we're about to get a bunch of announcements about what Disney has, what they're putting into the pipeline. And it sounds like they're going to try and do movies again. And that's going to be the focus, and that's where the money's going to go. Because that's the way Disney is going to make money, because they're obviously not making money with Disney+. This kind of makes me sad, because we're now in a position where the shows are getting really good. They have found the formulas. So Andor and now Mandalorian season 3, Ahsoka, I have no doubt is going to be awesome. I'm like you, Gabe. I'm really interested in the future of Star Wars. And at the same time, I'm a little apprehensive that Disney's going to take the foot off the gas on the TV and throw everything back toward movies again. And I'm so afraid it's going to get off balance, because it's now starting to feel like Star Wars isn't so much a cinema franchise as it is a storytelling franchise. And you can do that in books, and you can do that in TV, and you can do that in comics really a lot better than you can with movies nowadays. And so it's an exciting time for a Star Wars fan, and there's a lot of good. I'm a little apprehensive about these announcements that are about to come out in the next couple of months. But I've been wrong before, and I hope I'm wrong now. That there shouldn't be any need for apprehension.
I feel like The Mandalorian, in whatever iteration it shows up in, they can't ruin it. Like, at this point, it's resurrected their franchise. Like, Star Wars as a whole, I feel like, has been resurrected by The Mandalorian. The community was in such a polarized state after the sequel trilogy, and it's obviously we're getting some Mando stuff around that time, but it hadn't quite found its identity fully yet, I think. And that's the beautiful thing about this show, is it continually evolves. Like, just when you think you have it figured out, they add a new element in, or they bring, there's a callback, or they have something, and it's a really great show. And even if they pull back on shows like Andor, I would rather have Mandalorian be running for another few seasons and have more movies. Because here's the thing, Obi-Wan, I'm just going to say it on the record, it sucks. Like, I don't like it. And that makes me sad. Like, I haven't given it any thought because it does nothing for me. Now,
yeah, that's because you haven't watched.
I started
Larry
it.
seasons 1 through. Oh my god, that is such a great series if you watch the Larry version. But honestly, Mikey, you have to go back and watch the Arl Knots episodes 1 through 6 to really make Larry contextually make sense. I can't recommend that highly enough.
Definitely check that out.
Yeah.
So, obviously, great episode. Looking forward to next week. Jesus Christ. It's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. Obviously, we're getting... The thing I like about where Star Wars is at right now is every piece of content we're getting is all canon now, for the most part. So, it's nice to know that we're getting a piece of Cal Kestis' story next month, which I probably won't get to playing until much later, but... I'm going through the first one again right now, and it's like, this is a cool thing to have as a Star Wars fan that's been through, it's like, Ethan, you've been alive longer than we have, so you've been through more phases of the fandom than we have, but it's cool to know that as long as they keep making semi-good decisions, I'm going to stick around, Just don't cancel Mandalorian. That's all you have to do. And you'll keep me happy forever.
Let's be honest.
That's all.
Even if they make bad decisions, you watch the newest trilogy. We've literally consumed all of the Star Wars content. We're still here.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like Destiny. Just keeps pulling you back in.
Well,
they're gonna have that one good. They're gonna have that one big swing where it's like, ooh, I'm a fan for life. That's happened a few times with Star Wars, but.
Star Wars.
It's in a good place, and I look forward to next week's episode. So,
Samesies.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We really, really appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter at WBCProd, Wannabe Critic Productions. Ethan, do you want to be found on the socials?
I keep saying the same thing. Sound like a broken record. Keep checking out, keep watching for Geekly Retrospect over on Facebook. We were supposed to have an episode by now, and I was hoping I could plug that, but, time and unforeseen occurrence.
It affects us all, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yep. We'll get there. It's
yeah,
coming.
It is coming. Mikey, we all know you don't want to be found, and no one wants to find... what?
You can...
What?
I'm on Spotify with my own thing now. It's called...
Okay.
Go ahead. It's called Banjos for Life. And I just cover only Foo Fighters songs in reverse. No, don't find me. Please don't look for me. I don't want anybody else in my life.
Ladies and gentlemen, I actually have access to Mikey's personal address, so if you want to find him, I can indeed provide you with that information. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next week. Say goodbye, gentlemen.
So long.
Auf Wiedersehen.